Good afternoon. Today we are working on PO23. I can find a percent of a whole number, so we're still working on those percents. So now we're doing some real life applications with those percentages. Perhaps you've maybe been asked or seen some variation of the following. So if you're into sports, it might be she took 20 shots and made 30% of them. How many shots did she make? So if you're talking about any of those sports and you're wanting to know what your percent is for something, you're going to need to know how to do this. We all do this in class. The test was worth 30 points and she got 90%. How many did she get correct? Or you might know how many correct you have. What percentage would that be, right? Or the bill at the restaurant was about $40 and I left a 15% tip. How much was the tip? So whenever you're going out to the restaurant and you're wanting to leave a tip, you should know how to figure out what that tip is. You guys are in 6th grade now, you're getting older. You're almost to that point where you're going to go out to a restaurant with just friends. You need to tip your waiters and waitresses, and you need to know how to figure that out. So let's answer the questions above using 3 different methods. So one method is using fractions, one method is using percentages, and one method is multiplication. So I'm going to go through each method at a time. So let's look at fractions. So she took 20 shots and made 30% of them. So our percent is 30%. We're going to convert that into a fraction. What fraction would that be, Eleanor?
30 over 100.
30 over 100. So we know that she took a certain number of shots out of, she made 20 shots. No, she took 20 shots. Oh, I'm confusing myself. She took 20 shots. We don't know how many she made, but we know that it's going to equal 30 out of 100, right? Because that's the percent that she made. So how did we go from 20 to 100? Hadley? We multiplied by 5. So it would be the same thing for that numerator. So what would that n be if we're going to multiply it by 5 to get 30, Amala? 6. So if we're going to use fractions, you have to convert that percent to the fraction, so then you can work your way up. For the test, we know that she got 90%, which is 90 over 100. We know that the test was worth 30 points, was the total number. We don't know how many she got correct. So that n over 30 equals 90 over 100. What do you think we should do? How do we solve this? David?
We divide it down by 10 on the other side.
Okay. So I can divide that 10 out. So how do I go now? Because I couldn't say 30 up to 100 because that doesn't work out evenly, right? But dividing that 10 out, how can I go from 30 down to 10? Hadley? I could divide by 3. 30 divided by 3 gets me 10. So what number divided by 3 gets me 9? Michael? What number divided by 3 gets me 9? Luke? 27. So n equals 27. Let's look at the last one, leaving a tip. So we know we left a 15% tip. which is 15 out of 100. We know that the total cost at the restaurant was $40. So we don't know how much of that $40 we left the tip on. So what do you think? I know n over 40 equals 15 over 100. Is it easy to say how to go from 40 to 100? It's not so easy. Christina? I could divide a 5 out. So if I divided a 5 out, that would be 3 over 20. So how could I go from 40 down to 20? Beckett? Divide by 2. So what number do I divide by 2 to get to be 3? Luke? 6. So my tip would have been $6. So using those fractions is one method. Now we're going to look at percentages. So, let's see. The shots. She took 20 shots and made 30% of them. How many shots did she make? I know that 10% of 20 would be 2. So I could say that 10% times 3 would be 30%. 2 times 3 is 6. So I know that she made those 6 shots. Because here I know she took 20. So 10% of 20 we know is 2. So 10%, right? So we worked up from there. So using that logic, what would 10% of 30 be? Because we know she got, the test was worth 30 points. What is 10% of 30? Christina? 3. Now we know she got 90%. So what did we multiply that 10% by to get to 90, Amala? 9. So if I multiplied this side by 9, I have to multiply this side by 9. And I get that 27 was her score. So now let's look down here. 10% of the $40 would be what? What would 10% of $40 be, Michael? 4. We know that we have to get up to 15%. This is going to be a little bit different. Because here we were multiplying 10% times 3, 10% times 9. How do you think we're going to get up to 15%? What do you think we should do, Beckett? Not divide. Graham? I've got an easier way. Luke? Add what? Add 5. We're going to add that 5% to get to that 15%. So now, here, it would be, can we add 5% to a 4? No. But if we think back to what Graham had said, he's like, oh, well, we can multiply it by that 1.5. So what we're going to do is 5% is half of that 10%. So what is half of our 4? Eleanor? 2. So we're going to add that 2 because we added a half to get to 15%. We're adding a half of that 4 and we get to our 6. Me personally, this is not the easiest way for my brain to work. But some people like this method. It's not the easiest for me. Our last one is the multiplication. So we had 20 shots times 30, and we're going to divide it by 100 because it's not 30, it's 30%. So we're dividing it by that 100. That's why we can say 30 instead of 30%. So we divide it by 100. So 20 times 30 would be what? 600. 600 divided by 100 equals what? Mala? 6. So down the next one, the test, we had 30 points times that 90%. So we want it just to be 90, so we're dividing by 100. What's 30 times 90? Beckett? 270. We're dividing it by 100. So it's 270 divided by 100. Hadley? 27. Good thing we can use calculators so we don't always have to do it all in our heads. But you do have to be able to write out the math that you're doing. Who can tell me how you think I should set up our tip? How do you think, Eleanor?
40 plus 15.
Oh, not plus.
40 times 15 divided by 100.
40 times 15 divided by 100. So what's 40 times 15? Remember I said you can use your calculators. That one's not as easy to do in our head. Do you know it, Amala? Yeah? 600 divided by 100. What's 600 divided by 100? Eleanor? 6. So, are those methods making sense? Okay, let's look at the bottom. It says find the value, find the following values. Oops. So, show your work. You can't just use your calculator and get an answer and give me an answer. You have to show your work. If we're not showing work, we will not get credit tomorrow when I check it. So you have to show me which of these methods you're using, what math you're putting into your calculator to get your answer. So if I want to know 60% of 40, who can walk me through one of the methods to find it? Harper? So walk me through it. What should I write? 60 times 40 divided by 100. So what is 60 times 40?
2,400.
Careful. 60 times 40. It's not 2,000. Oh, it is. Sorry. Divided by 100. We give me what? So this is actually, I needed to put extra zeros here. What is 2,400 divided by 100? Hadley? Oh. Well, 24. Right? Because we're dividing out that 100. It's going to be 24. Somebody tell me how to work out 70% of 90. Luke?
70 times 90 divided by 100.
So what's 70 times 90?
6,300.
Divide by 100.
63.
63. Who can walk me through 20% of 60? Christina.
20 times 60 divided by 100.
So what's 20 times 60?
80.
Say it again.
1,800.
There we go. I wasn't putting enough zeros up above either. It's 2 zeros. If we've got 2 zeros here, so we have to have 2 zeros. Oh, and is it 1800? What's 2 times 6, Amala? 12. So we have to be careful. We can't go too fast with our math. Okay? Make sure we slow it down, that we're doing our math correctly. So what's 1,200 divided by 100? Michael? 12. Who's going to walk me through 35% of 50? Amala?
35 times 50
What is 35 times 50? What is 1,750 divided by 100? Hadley? 17.5. Make sense what to do? Graham? Sorry, say that a little louder for me. So that 0.70 divided by 100 gets us that 70. So what I want you to do is I want you to write it out to make sure you're understanding how it is that you're able to do that. So you can do that, but I want you writing it out so you're making sure to understand what math that calculator is doing for you. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, let's look at our back side. Now, find the following values, show your work. So you're going to write it out, just like we did on the front. Then we've got some word problems that you need to figure out. Then it says, estimate the following values. You can do this by rounding the percent to the nearest 10. So instead of 21%, what would we use? Claire? 20%. All right, so you're going to estimate by rounding it to the nearest percent. And the very bottom, write a percentage statement that equals the given value. For example, if the given value is 15, you might write 30% of 50. So if their number is 30, you could say, can anybody think of something for 50, or sorry, for 30? Michael?
30% of 100.
I don't want us to do out of 100 because that's too easy. Okay? I don't want us to do the same thing for everyone. I could say 45% of 100, 24% of we're gonna actually challenge our brains just a little bit. Can somebody think of a way to challenge ourselves just a little bit for the 30? Christina? So we have to figure out a statement, like 30% of 50 equals 15. So 30 is what answer? What percentage of what number would be 30? Michael? Graham? So let's look at that. Eight percent of what? I don't know why I'm not getting the right number for that. Did you use your calculator? Does that work? Because it's not working for me. Come here. So if we put an 8 right there, because 30 times 8, would that be 8%? Because if I did 0.3 times 50, I get the 15. So I don't think you want it to be 8%. What do you think it should be?
0.8.
I think, and what would 0.8 be? What percentage is that?
80.
Ah, so if we did 80% of 240, would that get us the right answer? Does that get us the right answer? It's still not working out. It's not 240. I'm still not getting the right answer for that. So you got to go back to the drawing board. Eleanor.
60% of 50.
60% of 50 gets us to 30. So 60%. So that would be that 60 times 30. Sorry, 50. Divided by 100 gets us that 30. So that one works. Okay? So you want to figure out, you have to work it through to make sure you get the correct answer. And you're going to want to work it through. So what you were doing, it doesn't work out. So you have to go back and try a new one. Okay? Any questions? All right, so you're going to quietly work on this second page. Remember, math packets are due next week Friday. Khan Academy is due this Thursday. Lots of work to be done. Make sure we are working calmly and quietly. If you're watching this at home, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you soon.